The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
Welcome back to the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with my panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound, and today we will be answering listener emails. We have a question from Darcy, who lives in Syracuse, New York, and Darcy asks, can a tech billionaire like Elon Musk disrupt the two-party system? That's a good question. What historical parallels exist with past third-party movements? Thank you for the question, Darcy. Mark, Scott, your thoughts?
No. I don't think, no.
Nope.
I guess the reason I'm saying, yeah. Let me go to the historical parallels. Are there historical parallels? Let's remember when the nation was founded, there weren't just two parties. There were like five. They had people called Whigs. I mean, who knows what the heck that all meant. But in recent time, I guess the first one I can remember where it was a serious was Anderson. John Anderson. No, what, you got somebody before that?
No, I was just like,
no, but he
started with John Anderson. Was like,
no, I'm going to start with John Anderson because he ran as an independent.
Okay, all right.
I mean, so I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to consider that the third party. Next would be Ross Perot.
Yeah.
Who also was running as an independent. It wasn't like he was attached to a party. He was, and I was actually watching one of his clips, and they, somebody said, I guess it was Bush said, yeah, he's not very experienced at this kind of stuff. And Perot said, you're right. I'm not very experienced. I'm not very experienced at creating $3 trillion in debt. I'm not very experienced at, all these things that they had done. And he went through, and it was absolutely hilarious to watch him absolutely dismantle Clinton and Bush and say, yeah, you're right. If you want me to take a long time to fix a 10-minute problem, I'm not really experienced at that. I'm more experienced at taking care of this stuff. So, but he still ran as an independent. And I know that's the one you were thinking about, Scott. But again, Anderson was the first that I remember that really had a pretty good showing. Other than that,
you don't remember Ted Roosevelt in the Bull Moose Party?
The Bull Moose Party, yeah, of course. We can go back. Again, I was trying to keep it a little bit more modern and not show our age. But yeah, I mean, we're a two-party system, and we hate change. Except if, the change we think benefits us. That's why I'm so confused about the change in the Republican Party and how people have accepted it so well, because we don't like change. That is not the Republican Party I remember. Yes, it is very, very true that when Lincoln ran, over 175 years ago, 60 years ago or whatever, he was a Republican, and Republicans and Democrats have shifted opposite, but that took a lot of time. That took decades. This happened inside of, 5 years. And we are such a nation that dislikes change so much. I just can't see us accepting a third party. And I don't care how much money Elon Musk has got. I don't think that's going to influence. I don't think it's going to influence anybody. He'd be better off, in my mind, if you want to screw with one, pick one of the parties and pay to get somebody from that established party elected.
Yeah. Which he did.
Right. But that didn't work out very well.
No. So
except for Trump.
I remember John Anderson. He came to my campus and spoke when I was a freshman in college. I do remember him. Beautiful head of white hair.
Yes.
Reminds me of somebody I know. And and he I don't think he won an electoral vote, but I don't even think he shook up the race all that much, to be honest with you. But Ross Perot did. And because of Ross Perot, who got in 1992 nearly 20% of the vote, And I think that that's really, really amazing that he got 20% of the vote. Bill Clinton became president, and President
Right.
George H.W. Bush lost. Now, he ran then as an independent, but the next time he ran as the nominee of a party, which he called the Reform Party, which he had founded the year prior because he knew he wanted to run for president again. And where he got nearly 20% of the vote the first time, he only got 8% of the vote the second time. So having a party didn't turn out to be a good thing for Ross Perot. Jesse Ventura, by the way, became a member of that party and won the governor race in Minnesota as the Reform Party candidate. And I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Trump actually thought about running as a Reform Party candidate in 2000. So there was a party that made a little noise. It was only a little noise, but they did make it. Other billionaires have also come out of the woodwork to run. Howard Schultz from Starbucks, Andrew Yang, who says he might actually try joining up with Elon Musk in this third party. But I don't think it's going to have much of an impact on the world, and on the presidential race. And I don't see that it's very, that it's something that he's gonna stick with for very long.
Yeah.
I think that this is a flash. This is an idea he has that's not gonna it's not gonna get legs, and he's gonna give it up. And we'll see what he does. My guess is that he and Trump will have some kind of coming together again. Trump being 100% transactional. It doesn't matter what you say about him, even accusing him of being in the Epstein files. He'll forgive you as long as you've come up with the cash. He'll forgive you, and he'll forgive Elon Musk, and they'll continue on.
Yeah.
But while we're on the subject of Elon Musk, I do want to point out that his Grok chatbot, okay, on X, which I have left, and I actually left X because it was getting too insane with all the worst sewer dwelling people on Earth, or bots on Earth, spouting all kinds of nonsense, anti-Semitism, bigotry, all kinds of stuff. And now we just found out over the weekend that Elon wanted to make his Grok improved, and that users will notice a difference, and that Grok had instructions to assume subjective viewpoints sourced from the media and not shy away from making claims that are politically incorrect. And what does the thing do? Start spouting out anti-Semitic tropes from way back, including that Hollywood is controlled by Jews and all kinds of stuff like that. And it seems that AI does take on the personality, or at least some traits, of the people who feed it and influence it. And that Elon is now exposed, probably more than he wanted to be, as anti-Semitic. Because one of the things that his AI system did was look at all the data that it could get from X, and assume that in its personality and its information sources, and now it comes out as extremely bigoted and anti-Semitic. So
Yeah.
I think that tells you all you need to know about Elon.
Well, and just recently, Linda Lucarino is now out as the CEO of X. And X was actually sold by Elon Musk to what was XAI. So instead of being in the social platform, he brought the two together. They were interconnected before this, and now it's XAI, which is his AI company, is now in charge of it. We do have a presence, as far as the No Society podcast, do have a presence on X. However, it only works when it feels like it, so I don't put an awful lot of effort into it. But yeah, it is an interesting. And just real quick, back to poor John Anderson with the absolutely wonderful head of hair. He won 6.6% of the vote during that. And when you talk to, and I remember, yes, Ross Perot tried again and didn't do very well. And I think that was because Ross Perot kept, when he was really popular, um, I mean, he was even more popular than the 20% he got. He quit all the time. Oh, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I don't want to do it. And I think that really hurt his credibility and took a lot of the steam out of Ross Perot's his candidacy. But yes, Linda, and again, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Carino just left one day after the company, the Grok chatbot began pushing anti-Semitic topics. We don't know if it has anything to do with her leaving, but it seems kind of coincidental.
It's a great illustration of how technology extends the human.
Yep.
Right. I mean, at one time, the fastest way to get from one place to another was running. And then somebody invented the wheel. And then somebody invented a way to, yoke that wheel to an animal that could pull with 4 legs what we couldn't do with 2, and so on and so forth. All our technology extends the human. And right now, Grok is putting out Elon Musk's personality and extending it out to the world, and it is an ugly, horrible, dark, spidery place to be. Yep. And this is our Elon.
And you know what? It is true, because they are actually doing, I can't remember which university it is. I think it's USC Berkeley is doing a thing where they took all the works of Shakespeare, put it into an AI, and the AI now can write like Shakespeare, to the point where it's very difficult to tell the difference between the two. I mean, it was an interesting experiment they were doing. I think they're still working on it, and they were doing it. I think they have an AI, in fact, an AI department in their computer department there at Berkeley, and that was one of the things they wanted to find out. If you took all the works of Shakespeare, threw them into this AI, and the AI learned, could then AI produce a work that you wouldn't be able to tell was not from Shakespeare? Interesting concept.
Yeah.
So hopefully we answered that one.
I once wrote a screenplay about a kid who's struggling in his high school English class to understand Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes his complete works of Shakespeare, and he gets in a time machine, and he goes back to the future, goes back to Shakespeare's time, and he meets Shakespeare. And Shakespeare is a total loser, and he tries to prop him up, like the plot of Back to the Future, where he tries to prop up his dad, and he ends up having to go back to the future, but he forgets his complete works of William Shakespeare there. And the answer to who wrote Shakespeare's plays turns out to be nobody, because he had the plays, he brought them back, Shakespeare got them and published them, and that's how we got Shakespeare.
Oh my gosh, that's a Doctor Who time paradox.
It's a good little screenplay.
Good little screen. I like that.
A little too derivative of Back to the Future, but it had some interesting moments in it. And of course, Mark and Brooke, we had the old saying: if you could take a infinite number of monkeys typing on an infinite number of typewriters, one of them would come up with Hamlet. And then they said an infinite number of monkeys typing on an infinite number of typewriters, and in half an hour they came up with The Art of the Deal.
There you go. Okay.
Thank you.
On to the next one. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you to Thank you to Darcy, and I do agree Musk is not going to disrupt anything. He's not particularly popular, and I think he's just fiddling around, and he will eventually wend his way back to Daddy Trump, and they'll have a big reunion, and just and they'll continue on their merry way together, holding hands and whatever else. So.
Oh wait, I have a thought problem though. Mark Bound's students have nominated him for president many times.
Yes.
And he has never run. Mostly because he can't stop drinking beer long enough to go out and do fundraising. But let me ask you, because Elon's not talking about running for president himself. He's from South Africa and he knows he can't. He's only talking about funding a third political party. What if Elon Musk came to Mark Bound and said, I want you to be the next president of the United States. You're a wise man. You're a just man, a fair man. And I will fund your campaign any amount you need to be my candidate. Mark Bound says,
I go back to Tecumseh Sherman. If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve.
Oh, all right. You can't be seduced by the money.
No, well, now, all right. Everybody has their price. If you said, I'll fund your campaign, everybody has their price. If you said, I'll fund your campaign, and you will have a full supply for the rest of your life of all the Francis Connor wheat beer you want.
Wow.
At your fingertips, I might say, that sounds like a pretty good deal.
Look, that sounds like our first commercial message right there. We have a product placement.
That's right. That's right. All right, Brooke.
So thank you for the question. And yes, Mark Bound for president.
No.
Elon, if you're listening, give us an email. And we'll see what we can work out. So thank you again for the question, and thank you to all our listeners, and thank you for your support. And if you're not a subscriber, and we do thank all our subscribers, and if you're not a subscriber on your preferred platform, please do so. Subscribing is free, and tell a friend about us. And we look forward to your continued support and to seeing you again next time. Take care.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time. We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Phoenix Research Group, an independent research consortium offering social-political issue solutions to NGOs and international government agencies through multidisciplinary, nonpartisan, and unbiased research. The Phoenix Research Group is a division of the Phoenix Research Institute, the producer of the Nova Society podcast.